Reactants is a huge topic. And I think everybody in sales, from CEOs, when they want to get something, they go about it in a very straightforward way and try and use a force of will, use the money, relationships, control, the dominance hierarchy, whatever they can impose their will to get what they want promoted, and they sell quite aggressively. And the more you push things, just human reactants puts up the defenses because it starts to take away the autonomy of an individual. Like if you go into evolutionary psychology, what caused autonomy to be so critical to our just fundamental core well-being? Why do we protect autonomy more than almost anything else in our lives?
Yeah, we want to feel like we have freedom and we're in control. We want to feel like we're in the driver's seat. I'm making my own choices. I'm making my own decisions. I'm the one in the driver's seat. But when someone else tries to tell us to do something, encourage us to do something, asks us to do something, pushes us to do something, we push back. We have this ingrained anti-persuasion radar that's sort of like a missile defense system that goes off and says, wait, there's an incoming projectile. Someone's trying to convince us. Let's avoid it. Let's ignore it. Let's do something to avoid being persuaded. Even counter-argue, right? Push back and think about all the reasons why what someone's suggesting is wrong or won't work. As persuaders, it's clear why we think pushing is a good idea. Right? We think it's the fastest way to get what we want. If we just tell someone what we want, then that would be great. That assumes that if we tell them, they'll do it, right? If they do it, then the fastest way is just to tell them. But the problem is that's often not the fastest way. It's often a lot slower of a way because when we tell them, they push back. They dig in their heels. They think about all the reasons they don't want to do it. And so it actually leads us in the opposite direction of where we're hoping to go.
Right. So we're sort of building Chinese thumb screws here, or arguments inside of arguments. Because if you think back, 150,000 years ago or 225,000 years ago or whatever, when evolutionary psychology really started becoming part of the psychology, started becoming part of the biology of humans. What is in the evolution, in the DNA, that caused us to protect our autonomy so proactively, right? Why do we not want to give that? Why, as persuaders, don't we recognize that people want their autonomy, right? So in marketing and sales tax for the last 50 years, the basic premise has been tie people down to yeses. Everybody down the road has said, tie people down, back up in the corner, make them say yeses, tie down those yeses and use these logical circuits to make people finally say yes and then hold them accountable for that yes. Jam the paperwork in front of them. Press hard, Mr. Jones. 5th copy's yours. You own this motherfucker. If it's true, which I believe it is, that reactance is so powerful that we are so defensive of our autonomy, why did the entire sales industrial complex build its entire reputation in marketing and sales on taking people's autonomy away? How did we get into that Chinese thumbscrew?
Yeah, well, I think there are a couple reasons. First, we're focused on what we want. Right? We're focused on the outcome we want to achieve. I want to sell more cars. I want to sell more of this. I want to change this person's mind. I want to do this thing. We spend a lot of time thinking about what we want. We don't spend as much time understanding the person we're trying to change and what's in the way. Right? We spend a lot of time saying, well, what could I do to get this person to change, rather than saying, well, why hasn't this person changed already? And so we really need to be a lot more customer focused, whether that customer is an actual customer or whether that customer is a boss, a colleague, an employee, anyone at all. Who is that person that we're trying to change, and what are the barriers or obstacles that are getting in the way, right? Often we think it's information. We say, well, if I just gave someone more information, they would come around. If I just told them why they should do what I want them to do, they will change. Rarely is information the barrier we think it is. More often the barrier is, well, it's not their idea, it's my idea. More often the barrier is it's too far away from where they are at the moment. More often the barrier is, well, it's very different from what they're doing now, and what they're doing now feels safe and they don't want to do something completely different. And so there are all these barriers that are not about information, are about something else. And if we don't understand those barriers, if we don't understand the obstacles, it's going to be really hard to get people to change.
If you're planning to become a deal maker at this level, make sure to join the Daily Dealmaker. We get into one little piece of this daily. And so you're just stacking and stacking and stacking these tools and tactics and strategies until they come out of you as naturally as they come out of me and the people that I work with. Add the tips, tools, strategies, tactics a little bit every day. And by the end of a year, you'll be a totally different, new, improved person and a very strong deal maker.